Hi, welcome to This Week in Ames. I'm Susan Gwiasda. On today's show, we check in with the Public Works Department. My guest today is Tracy Warner, Municipal Engineer with the City of Ames Public Works Department. Tracy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Susan.
Well, we've had you on several times and you always bring with us the most interesting projects. We're here today at Moore Memorial Park, which is adjacent to the Northridge subdivision, where we have sort of a history of some stormwater issues. Maybe you could give us some details.
Sure, it originally started back in 2009 that we recognized the park here in Moore Memorial Pond actually had the duckweed growing excessively, and we got the water quality tested, and then we recognized that there were excess nutrients that were feeding that duckweed. So we had planned in 2010 in the capital improvements plan to do some water quality improvements, but unfortunately in 2010 then we ended up having some homes here in Northridge flood. So we kind of took a step back, and for the past 3 years we've been working with the neighborhood to figure out how to have a project that would mitigate that flood, but also would take water quality into account.
So if people haven't been here to Moore Memorial Park, they may not realize this area, the pond back there, is sort of the detention area for the subdivision. It drains the homes, and one of the things you noticed was the excess nutrients.
Right. Some of the fertilizers, basically the south half of the Northridge Parkway subdivision, drains to this pond. And that's what we call kind of a regional detention facility. And the excess nutrients such as the nitrogen and the phosphorus that are in fertilizers end up in that water. And it attaches to the sediment that's in the bottom of the pond.
So like most detention basins, there's an aerator in this pond, but what are some of those telltale symptoms that you know that maybe a pond is having some issues?
Well, you don't see as much aquatic life. You don't see the really healthy habitat like you would normally. This one also, when we tested the water, had a higher pH than what we would normally have seen in a healthy body of water. And then you see the algae, or the duckweed is a plant that grows in there when you have that excess.
So a lot of that sort of green on the top,
right?
Maybe it's a sign that things aren't moving or that there's excess nutrients.
Right.
And I know that you've worked really hard to educate people about the pea-free fertilizer and how much fertilizer is appropriate, aeration, all the important things that you can do as a homeowner. What are some of those things that you really encourage people to do?
Yes, we do encourage the pea-free fertilizers. That would be the majority of what you can find in the stores anymore. They're really being conscious of carrying fertilizers that are phosphorus free, and you can always get your soil tested if you're questioning whether you need some phosphorus in there. Another thing is rain gardens. That'll help if you do some native plantings, or we also have a soil quality restoration that helps to aerate your lawn and put some compost and overseed it so that it'll better handle those nutrients.
Right, so in this situation, we've done some outreach and education, and it just seems like we need a more permanent kind of fix here. So what is the future plan for this area?
Right, well, to mitigate the flooding, we're adding some additional storm sewer to handle some of the big flows that are up further in the subdivision that our existing storm sewer couldn't handle. But all the water will still get down to this pond here in Moore Memorial Park. So what we're doing is creating what's called a forebay. So partway into this existing pond, we'll create a berm that will hold that initial water in there. And then we're also planting native plants. And then we're currently going out for bids, so we'll see what else we can afford. We always have to take into consideration the budget, but one new thing that we're hoping that we can incorporate is a sand iron filings filtration system. And so the iron filings that would be in that filtration system attaches and connects to those phosphorus runoff and cause it to deposit.
So the retention pond that we see here, or detention, I'm never quite sure if I'm using those correctly, will grow in size.
Right, we are enlarging it to handle the 100-year flood. And
it is kind of funny to talk about flood in the middle of a drought,
right.
But some of the other tools then are conveying water down to this area through berms or landscaping.
Right.
Oversizing pipes to carry those heavy flows. Anything else?
Well, we've done a lot of public outreach. We have a couple of areas where we're going to be doing some grading. So you might see some grading here in the park or lowering of some shared use path, but those will all get reconstructed, and we've been working with all the adjacent neighbors to make sure those waters will flow out of their properties in those high flows. And the trees are going to get removed from around the pond. Any of them that are kind of standalone trees a little bit away from the pond won't get removed, but a lot of the willows and cottonwoods are going to end up getting removed so that we can enlarge the pond and reshape it and get the excess sediment and nutrients out. And so it'll get restored though, so patience.
So new plantings will come in?
It will. We're going to use the native plants, but also have it viable habitat so that the hopefully the butterflies and birds will appreciate it.
Now, one thing that's very popular here is the fishing dock. Will that remain as part of this plan, or?
It is. It's going to get relocated just slightly further south than it is located now. The memorial that is here at the park, right by the pond, will stay. That'll be protected during construction, but the fishing pier is going to go just slightly south of that existing memorial.
Well, and fishermen and women should have a larger area to fish from in the future.
Right. We did have some meetings with Department of Natural Resources Fisheries Group to see what we can make sure we do with the pond rehabilitation to have it be a viable habitat for fish.
So the fishing tradition will continue. It may look a little different.
It will.
And obviously the goal here is protection of the homes and the investment that those people here in North Ames have made in their homes.
Definitely.
And the outreach, and I know this has been a long project for you. It must be exciting to see it to come to fruition.
It is. It is very exciting. It's been a solid 3 years as of this month, so it's been a lot of interaction with the neighborhood, and we have worked through any concerns that people had, and so we've got that unanimous support now.
So all the changes, when should people expect to see actually things happening in this area?
This construction will probably happen here this winter. Winter and spring is going to be the most viable for this project, just from the standpoint that the water is already low, and part of that's a drought, but winter months is a really good time to work in water bodies when the water is lower. We would like to get that pipe in before spring, just in case we do have heavy rains or that heavy snow melt in the spring. So.
Right, and as you know, lots of people are walking and biking around here, but you will take that into consideration, I'm sure.
We will. Just you'll have to have some patience with the construction equipment, and the pond will be drained, so it's going to look different for a little while, but we'll have to wait until spring to get the plants in, but that'll all come in time.
Great. Well, Tracy, thanks for coming by and telling us about the project.
You're welcome. Thanks, Susan.
Well, it certainly feels like fall out today, and if you're looking forward to fall and all that yard work that comes with it, don't forget Yard Waste Free Days are on a different schedule this year. The first Yard Waste Free Day will be held October 19th, and there's more information about the following 3 free days on our website. Also remember, Tuesday, October 1st is the kickoff to the budgeting process. The Town Hall budget meeting will be held at 7 p.m. on October 1st, so we'd love to see you there at City Hall. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week for This Week in Ames.